Thank you very much. And there's a mic out in the audience that we will make available in just a few moments. But let me get started by, first of all, once again, thanking Rosie for telling your story, for telling it so powerfully.
Truly.
Just an incredible film. Let me start, though, with British, if I could. So you are now running this organization that is really taking the lead on educating women about heart health and heart disease. Can you tell us a little bit about why now is the moment and how you're planning to really educate women about this? The numbers are just astonishing. This really very powerful threat.
Absolutely, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks to Barnard and Athena Film Festival and Sheila Evans for hosting us. Let me first say, Rosie, thank you for that, and thanks for the gift of your life. Incredible. The reason why Ronald Perlman, the businessman and philanthropist, and Barbara Streisand, your dear friend, started the Women's Heart Alliance because of exactly what Rosie mentioned just now in the film, because of the statistics, because this is an epidemic, because every minute, every 60 seconds, a woman in the United States dies of heart disease. It is preventable, and we can do something about it, and that's what the two doctors will talk to you about. The Women's Heart Alliance created a major campaign, a nationwide campaign called Fight the Lady Killer, and please go to our website at fighttheladyKiller.org to learn more about us. But essentially, we are passionate and committed to, first and foremost, educating women that it is the #1 killer in the United States. As Rosie said, it is not breast cancer. It's #1 more than all cancers combined, even globally, not just in the United States. And second, we want to empower you to get heart checked, to know the signs, the symptoms, and to know your risks. Rosie said it so well. And we have, I think at the end of this outside, we'll have some heart check cards so you can take those and empower yourselves. The third piece is we also want to move Congress and our federal government agencies to dedicate and increase funding for women's heart disease, whether it be research, clinical trials, or even programs that are available in many communities in the United States. Women don't even know about. They can actually get help and get assistance. So the time is now because too many women are dying. The time is now because of what happened to Rosie. We don't have another minute. That's why now.
So, Rosie, you had some fabulous ideas in the film about what to do to spread the word. I particularly like the Broadway musical.
Thank you, so do I.
But could you...
And I'm going to be available soon. I don't know if you heard. Perfect timing for this, isn't it?
We will be the place where the idea was hatched. So
yes, well, it would thrill me to get to just spread this message in any way. You know, after I had my heart attack, Cindy Berger, who was my close friend and publicist, she was crying, saying, you know, I'll kill you if you die. And I was like, well, why don't you get me and all the other women who've had heart attacks who are famous, and we'll all do a PSA. And she said none of the women that she knows who are famous who've had heart attacks are willing to talk about it publicly. And that's what inspired me to call Sheila and say we have to do something.
And do you have any idea why that is so? I mean, we've become so public about breast cancer, about ovarian cancer. Why?
Well, you know, it's considered a man's disease. It doesn't have like the cachet of breast cancer has femininity and pink ribbons and prettiness, and I don't know. But they've also had a great marketing campaign for the last few years. Everybody got behind it, but it felt very disingenuous and kind of tragic to me that I spent 6 years on daily television telling people to get a mammogram when they were 10 times as likely to die of heart disease, and there I was eating ding-dongs, you know, saying I didn't give a shit about it, you know, and I wasn't even informed. So I think that's information is knowledge and power, and women, we need to know what's killing us, and it's killing us more than anything else.
Holly and Allison, you must see this. I mean, why do women not speak out more? What should women be doing?
I think it's something Allison and I have seen all our careers, that women don't talk about their heart disease. And I take care of a world recognizable movie actor, female, who didn't want to talk about her heart attack because it's an old man's disease. And actually the Women's Heart Alliance did our own research and found out that only 27% of women can name another woman in their lives with heart disease. Only 11% can name another woman in their lives who has died from heart disease. And this is because women don't share their stories of heart disease. And one of the reasons is that they feel stigmatized by the disease. that they don't want to share tell people they have heart disease because they feel that they might be judged as if they should have taken care of themselves more, or eaten better. And it's the youngest women who actually are the most likely to feel this way. And although death rates due to heart disease is decreasing across the board in this country, death rates due to heart disease is actually increasing in our youngest adults, aged 29 to 45, and increasing faster in young women.
And Yolanda King, Martin Luther King's daughter, died on her 50th birthday when she had just turned 50. Same exact thing. I had 100% blockage of her LAD, and she was dead before she hit the floor. So you all know at least one, Yolanda King.
So you're making me nervous.
I'm glad, because everyone should be nervous.
What should women be doing?
Well, I think it's not our goal to make women nervous. I think it's to educate women and for people to be aware of the symptoms. Because if you don't know or recognize the symptoms that you're having, then there's no reason for you to go to the doctor and get help. So you have to recognize that these symptoms can be very variable, and there's nothing wrong with going to the doctor, even if it's a false alarm, and saying, you know, I don't feel well, there's something the matter, and get tested, demand to be tested. And it doesn't just affect older women, it affects 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. And I mean, we do see a lot of young women in our practice that have heart disease. So you just be knowledgeable, educated, spread the word so that people really know to get help, get screened, and then we can really make a difference.
We do want to empower women. We want to empower them with knowledge. But one of the great things about being a cardiologist is that there's so much you can do to prevent heart disease. And prevention is crucial because all too often the first symptom could be sudden death. So, but anything that you do that's good for your heart is good for the rest of you. Okay, so it's...
Want to give us a little list?
Yeah. Well, I would say physical activity is a fountain of youth, right? You are what you eat.
You gotta move.
You are what you eat. Get a good night's sleep, release stress, laugh, go out with your friends. There's an old adage that said the best thing a guy can do for his health is to get married, and the best thing a woman can do is go out and have lunch with her friends. All of that matters. That lifestyle matters. Yes, get your blood pressure checked. Yes, get your cholesterol levels checked. Yes, make sure your sugar levels are, if they're too high, get them treated. Yes, family history matters. But we have a whole new science in medicine right now called epigenetics, and that means the way you live, how much you move, how you think especially can change the way your DNA gets translated.
And it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to exercise every day. You don't have to run a marathon. You just have to walk. You need to walk. You could go to the gym 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. A recent study just came out that showed that actually just moderate exercise can really make a difference in cardiovascular health and living longer. So it doesn't take a lot.
And let me ask one more question, and then I will turn to the audience. But given that we are here in the context of a film festival and at an academic institution, what paths might we take in the media, in academic outreach? I mean, again, I love the Broadway musical, but if we don't quite get there, should television shows be showing this more? Or
yeah, PSAs? There was a PSA that I think the American Heart Association did, and it was a frazzled young mother, and the kids were asking for stuff and then she laid it. It was nothing like my heart attack, but you can go on the Go Red website and all these Ron Perlman, of course, different websites, and read individual women's video diaries where they'll explain exactly what happened to them. But I think it would be great to incorporate it in all of the dramas, the medical dramas, when the people are coming into the ER. You never see women coming in for heart attacks, and oftentimes when they do, women are told take a Xanax and they're sent home. They're told they're having a panic attack when they're in fact having a heart attack. So I think education and incorporation into the mass media productions would really help.
Questions from the audience? Yes, right, gentleman in the first row. We'll have a mic come to you, hopefully.
I can speak up.
Yes, scream and I'll repeat it, yeah.
Rosie, how hard was it to be
Sorry,
funny?
the mic is coming. Yeah.
How hard was it to be funny about something that was so life-threatening?
Well, I use humor always, and as an Irish Catholic kid growing up on Long Island with a deceased mother, nobody really talked about their feelings, but if you could couch it in a joke, you were able to get what you felt across subtly. So when I met with Sheila, she said, "You think you could do stand-up about it?" And I said, "No." And she said, "I bet you could." So there we are. When Sheila says do it, I do it. And I now have to bring every potential spouse to her for screening. She's made me promise that before today's event. It's weird timing because all that shit's true. It's not even a lie. But I don't know. Don't ask me what's happened since then because I don't have an answer.
Thanks.
And let me just say, I'm black and Catholic, and we do get pale.
You get ashy or
Okay,
pale?
so-
Right, old pale? Totally ashy, all
Totally
right.
ashy. You nailed it.
I know that. I carry cocoa butter with me just in case. Palmer's works, trust me.
So the HEPPP cuts across.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Very
all
correct.
people.
Thank
Right
you.
here, go
And
ahead.
I think we have a question right in the middle of the,
Right, I
of the
just
audience.
wondered, in addition to being checked annually by a gynecologist and an internist, when should a woman see a cardiologist regularly, or?
We are really trying to work with the OBGYN doctors and even pediatricians and general internal medicine doctors because we also pooled in primary care doctors and found that only 39% of primary care doctors considered heart health to be a top-tier health concern for their female patients. So, we think the way we're really going to drive the numbers as much as we're going to do professional education as well is to empower you as a patient to examine, and I encourage you to go to our website because it tells it in very simple terms, and we have a card for you, what the risk factors are. Examine your family history, your personal history. Talk to your OBGYN. If you have high blood pressure during your pregnancy or diabetes, you're at a much higher future risk of stroke and heart attack. If you have migraine headaches with aura, if you have an autoimmune disease such as lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, these are things that primarily affect menopause, early menopause, less than 45. Okay, these increase your risk of stroke and heart attack. And you don't have to go to a cardiologist. You have to go to a doctor that's listening to you. This is not complicated stuff. Examine your risk and figure out and make sure you're not having symptoms now and learn how to lower your risk for heart disease.
And I'll just want to throw out, we'll get a microphone to the person right over here, and I just want to throw out something we were discussing before the film. Holly and Allison are really in the minority. There's very few female cardiologists. So even though women are, over 50% of med school students, by the time they hit the cardiology stage, most of the women have gone on other paths. So that's probably part of this puzzle as well.
The best ones become cardiologists.
Yes. Yes, please.
How is this film being distributed, and have there been any unexpected responses to it from either doctors, women?
HBO. It's on HBO on Valentine's Day, and then it will be on HBO's To-Go platform, so you can watch it wherever you are. And that's kind of the best distribution for documentaries ever that you could get under the tutelage of Sheila Nevins, Academy Award winner multiple times. So that's where, and all the doctors, we put it through a bunch of different doctors, all my doctors, to check that everything I said was accurate, because, sometimes, like Brian Williams, I forget. Yeah. No, really, what the fuck is that? I was in a helicopter that got hit by an RPG. I forgot I wasn't in it. I wrote and directed A League of Their Own. Wait a minute, I was just in it. Shit, I forgot. What is that? Remember when Walter Cronkite was the most trusted man in the world? He took off his glasses, he said this war is wrong, and the Vietnam War ended a few months later, and now we've got Brian fucking Williams saying I discovered electricity. Will that deflect from my divorce, do you think?
Nobody else has brought it up. I just want to, say that.
Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah. What was the question?
We have another one. Question here.
No, there's been no negativity about the film yet, although, Mr. Trump has yet to been heard from, so I'm sure he'll find something about it.
Right behind, lady in the second row.
I was just curious about when you say to go get checked. I've actually mentioned this to my general practitioner, and she seems to not really be able to give me some clear direction about that. So can you give me some specific things that I can do to go get checked?
Yes, and I think one of the things when you start, Allison and I are busy cardiologists, and as you know, healthcare is changing, and what we are expected to do in a few, the time we spend with patients is a lot. So we think that you'll get a card when you leave here that really breaks down very simply what you should know, what you should expect when you go to the doctor's office, what you should know about yourself, think about your family history, think about any kind of personal pregnancy history, think about whether or not you have any of these other associated risk factors, and you go down, you sit with your doctor, and that can actually be a calculation of a risk with a simple equation, but any simple equation is very simplistic, okay? And you should go. These are basic things done in a doctor's office, okay? And you're right, doctors are not thinking about this enough, and that's why we're going to you, okay? We, the doctors, are going to you to really try to push the needle to decrease the number of women dying from this disease. If you go there and you're empowered with the knowledge, all of a sudden your doctor's he's gonna listen, or he or she is gonna listen to you a bit more.
But you know how a mammogram, like you can get a baseline, is there a baseline EKG that people could get so then they could compare it?
No, unfortunately there's not. There is not a simple, get a mammogram and you're okay. Even if you get a stress test, okay, you can have a heart attack the next day, okay? It's about knowing what your risk is and doing things to reduce your risk and making sure you don't have active disease now.
But, when a doctor checks an EKG, your blood work, there are certain markers in a blood test that you can get to determine what risk you have, if there's been any genetic factors that have been passed down. And just starting the conversation about symptoms, about what you do as far as exercise, and hey, what's your diet like? And just going over very specifically, and then the doctor will start to, maybe there is some risk here, and maybe it's time to start to do some more advanced testing. But the basic tests, an EKG, some blood work, your blood pressure, talking about your diet and exercise and your lifestyle habits, smoking, not smoking, whether you smoked a long time ago, whether you're still smoking now, all of those things are really important in calculating that risk. And I think the doctors will respond.
We had a question in sort of the third row on this side.
And that woman right there has been
okay, thank you.
So
and
nicely
then
holding her
go you
hand
next. Thanks.
Thank you for this. I'd like to ask a question specifically about weight. One of the things that I think is true even with women, doctors, general practitioners, is that I guess because weight is such a third-rail issue for so many women, women doctors and men doctors just really, I feel like, don't really talk to women about weight. They say things like, you should lose a little weight, but they don't really talk to you about it. Could you give us some idea of the extent to which what I guess we would call a healthy normal weight is a factor, and what does it take both in the up and the down to either increase or decrease your risk in a way that is significant?
Well, I could just tell you that my whole life as a person who has always struggled with weight, when I was at on my own show at the height of my fame, a doctor said to me, because I was getting insurance for Warner Brothers, so I had to have a full physical. And she said, you're overweight. I said, no kidding. And she said, when you leave the house, you should get carrots and cut them up and put them in a Ziploc bag. And then when you're hungry in the day, you should eat the carrots. I said, are you kidding? You have just cured obesity in America. I should have a carrot instead of a cupcake. You're a fucking genius, Einstein. Why didn't you tell me? Weight is so unbelievably shame-laced that people aren't able to hear or see. It took for me nearly dying to get a handle on it. So 1 year after you have heart surgery, you're not allowed to have any elective surgery. So for that year, I tried to lose weight on my own, as I have my whole life. I lost 16 pounds. I was at my highest, I think, 241. I think that's what it was. I'm not positive. And where I am now in the 184, something like that, with vertical gastric sleeve surgery that I had 1 year following the date of my heart attack. I went from 11 medications to 4, right? So the comorbidities that come from obesity, high blood pressure, possibly diabetes, heart disease, they're all wound up in the fact that your body is so taxed, overworking from the obesity, that it's very hard to separate how much the weight contributes. But here's the big fallacy of the weight thing. Thin women have heart attacks every day and die. Marathon runners, women who think they have no chance of having a heart attack. Those are the women who are in danger as much as the ones who are obese. But I will say, for somebody who has lost weight recently, I feel so much more energy. My children say I'm more participatory in life. I feel my depression is definitely lifted as a result of losing weight. And I have to work through some of the emotional reasons why I carried the weight. And now the fact that it's gone is bringing up a lot of those issues again, of vulnerability, of protection, you know, all of those issues that come with weight. You can solve the weight thing, but your brain has to catch up to your body, right? But as for medically about weight, what would you say, Allison?
I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with saying to your doctor, yeah, you know what, I really would like to lose weight, but I don't know how. And should I see a nutritionist? Is there, you know, can I tell you what I eat? Is there something that I can do to accelerate this? Is there something wrong with me that it's harder for me to lose weight? And often the answer is in your blood test. Make sure your thyroid functions normal. You know, talk about how much exercise you do and exactly what you do eat. But there's nothing wrong with going to a nutritionist and getting some guidelines about exactly what to eat. And some people need that structure to get started. And it's a perfectly acceptable, great way to do it.
I'd also add that, you know, diet is not just about what you weigh. You need good nutrition to fuel you and help you fight disease and the aging process. And there was a great study published a couple of years ago in the New England Journal of Medicine, the Mediterranean diet, that compared 7,500 people in Spain, high-risk people in Spain, and a Mediterranean diet versus low-fat diet. First of all, nobody can comply with a low-fat diet. I mean, very, very, very few people in this world can comply with a low-fat diet. But the Mediterranean diet, a diet's just fruits and vegetables and beans and legumes and olive oil and alcohol and fish and a little red meat, very little red meat. At the end of 5 years, okay, there was a 30% reduction in the risk of stroke, heart attack, and death, and there was no difference in the weight. Okay? And when I often talked about patients, I don't talk about their overall weight, I talk about their waistline, because the fat around your waist is horrible for you. It's metabolically active, it makes your blood pressure higher, it makes you more prone to diabetes. So anything you can do to even reduce your waistline by a ½ inch makes you healthier. But liposuction doesn't count. It's the fat around your organs that's bad.
I think we had a question in the second row here.
Hi. I just wanted to share my story. At the age of 71 last fall, I had what I thought was a severe gastric problem. And I've been suffering with heartburn and also some shortness of breath. I must say my primary doctor absolutely ignored any of that would relate to heart disease. And I also had my own defenses. Not me, I climb mountains. Heart disease. My mother died of breast cancer, and every woman I know is struggling with cancer. So how can we talk about a heart? So what happens is the gastroenterologist says to me, before we do anything, we're checking your heart. I proceed to have a major heart attack right in the ER. And I had 100% blockage in my right coronary artery and 80% in my other two. I've now sent out all the emails to my friends, and they say, you had a heart attack? Oh, I'm going to be different when I speak to my doctor. And all of a sudden, the things that they used to say of like, oh, no, I'm not going to take the stress test. Why be bothered? No, I'm going to be bothered. I said, get the baseline, find out about yourself. So just remember, a lot of denial can go a long ways to not getting you the treatment. And also one of the symptoms has to do with heartburn, which is quite common with women, and don't ignore it when it happens. Thank you very much for the film.
Thank you. I think that may actually be a very good
we'll end on heartburn?
Story.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll end on heartburn.
I could do more on Brian Williams? No.
Please,
okay,
go for it.
I'll just leave that. Thank you anyway.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all for coming, smart people of Barnard.
Be healthy.
Go ladies. Go cure something. You can do it.